Lisa, you were inside the courtroom for so much of what went on during this trial. First, your reaction to the jury's verdict.
You know, Nicole, I was astonished that the jury returned a verdict so quickly. Glenn Kirshner was on earlier today and said that the general rule of thumb, at least among former prosecutors, is that for each week of trial, you should expect a day of deliberations. And so given that we've been here for 2+ weeks, the idea that the jury would return a verdict in 3 hours was astonishing to me. That said, I could not conceive, having sat through this presentation, that all 9 jurors would unanimously find for Donald Trump. And as Andrew and Mary know well, in the federal system, even in a civil case, there has to be a unanimous jury. I think that this verdict today, while surprising, is what I predicted would happen. The first degree of accountability for Donald Trump doesn't come from a prosecutor or a special counsel or even elected district attorney. It came at the hands of a 79-year-old advice columnist who had the courage to stand up to Donald Trump and say, what you said about me was wrong and malicious, and I'm not going to stand for it. And we can all take a lesson from E. Jean Carroll's bravery and this post-Me Too era, a critical decision on sexual assault, and hopefully a measure of the evolution that we've made as a society and our treatment and understanding of how victims behave. Nicole.
I want to go through the actual decision by this jury with you, Andrew Weissmann. It was the first question that Mr. Trump raped Ms. Carroll that the jury said no. But the second one, that Mr. Trump sexually abused Ms. Carroll, yes. Tell me, in your view, the significance of that.
So it's important to know what is the difference between the first, so essentially charge, the first allegation, and the second. And it's a somewhat graphic, but this is what the jury was asked to decide, because frankly, this is a graphic allegation, because what's now been found what the former president did. So the first sort of complaint has to do with actual rape, which involves sexual penetration. The second has to do with sexual assault, which doesn't go that far. It doesn't require, it doesn't include penetration. And so what the jury did is separated out between those things, the first and the second. To my mind, what it suggests is that the jury was very careful and was looking for corroboration of E. Jean Carroll. That's pretty typical of a jury, that they look to see, you know what, we think with this person telling the truth, but is there any corroboration? If you think about what the other 2 victims who testified about, was also about a sexual assault. What the defendant here, Donald Trump, admitted and confessed to in the Access Hollywood tape was sexual assault, that you can grab people by the genitals, women by the genitals, confession that what these women were complaining of was something that he said he did. So I think that is why, to my mind, they may have separated those 2, the first and second allegations.
It's so interesting. You know, it was not a courtroom confession of sorts, but it was played in the courtroom, and it was a confession in a belief pattern that when, actually, I'm going to play it. This is what was played before the jury.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the you can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that, yeah.
So, Mary, what a jury heard is, in a long line of stars going back 1 million years, you are allowed to, quote, grab women by the P word. And again, I don't mean a confession in a criminal context, but what the jury heard, to Andrew's point, is corroboration that Trump agreed he could do what E. Jean Carroll accused him of doing. How impactful do you think that is when you look at, again, you know, that Trump raped Ms. Carroll, jury decided no. Mr. Trump sexually abused Ms. Carroll, jury decided yes. That she was injured as a result of Trump's conduct, jury decided yes. If yes, I believe the dollar amount was $2 million for that liability on his part. Mary.
Yeah. So, you know, this is
the civil cases we've been talking about, and so the allegation in the complaint was that Mr. Trump committed a battery against E. Jean Carroll. And in her own complaint, she said that violated numerous criminal laws. It was forcible rape. The jury declined to find that it was forcible rape. She also said it was sexual abuse in violation of criminal law. The jury found it was sexual abuse. She also had said it was a forcible and unwanted touching, also in violation of New York criminal law. And the jury didn't have to go to that next level down because they found that there was sexual abuse. And I think in addition to what Andrew said about that's one that was easier for the jury to corroborate, it's also could reflect a little bit of a compromise, right? There could have been some number of the jurors that believed there was penetration and there was rape, and another number that said, well, I'm not sure about that, but I'm sure that there was, a sexual abuse, an offensive sexual touching that maybe didn't involve penetration. And so all 9 were unanimous, as is required in federal court, even in a civil case. But, it could have been that they kind of reached that compromise. We'll not know unless, of course, anyone talks to the jury, and some of the jury members might be willing to speak about how they decided this. But either way, it's very significant because, again, we were talking about a woman coming in and telling these intimate details of how she was sexually abused, and she was telling them about a person who was one of the most powerful people in the country, the former president of the United States. It took incredible amount of courage, and it's something that she only said she really started thinking about after the Me Too movement, after women started feeling more empowered to go ahead and be public about things that they had kept private, in some cases for years, or in Ms. Carroll's case, even for decades, because it's not okay to do this, including when you are a star.
Lisa, we talk so much about the strategy. Joe Tacopina's strategy was not to show any empathy for E. Jean Carroll for whatever it was she'd been through. It was to beat her up, to attack her for not acting like he believed, or he seemed to act like he believed a rape victim should act, that a rape victim should scream, and because she didn't, she wasn't a real rape victim. The jury doesn't seem to have bought the other very important pillars that were on trial. Can a jury, all these years later, accept a story being told with some contemporaneous accounts from friends when nobody went to the police at the time? I know you wrote a thread earlier last week about that. What are your thoughts about what we understand today that maybe we didn't know yesterday?
I thought Michael Ferrara, who is Robbie Kaplan's colleague and delivered the rebuttal yesterday, made such an important point yesterday and saying, Mr. Tacopina wants you to believe that there is such a thing as a perfect rape victim, right? Perfect rape victim screams. A perfect rape victim doesn't laugh. A perfect rape victim reports in real time. And a perfect rape victim is uncomplaining and relatively miserable for the rest of her life. She never achieves professional success again. She never finds personal happiness. And Mike Ferrara stood up and said, that's ridiculous. When people lose loved ones and they're grieving and then they find happiness again by moving on, we don't say that they didn't love that person at all. We don't think that they love that person any less. We understand that both of those things can be true. And the same thing is true of rape victims. The truth can be weird, and it's only fiction that is neat and tidy. And so what you saw in this verdict, Nicole, I think, is a total repudiation of that trope that Joe Tacopina was trotting out, right? All the reasons to disbelieve E. Jean Carroll. This jury is saying, we're not buying that. Yes, she wasn't perfect. She doesn't remember the date. She doesn't remember even the year. She didn't report in real time. It took her over 20 years to talk about it at all, and maybe even longer to process that what she was experiencing was trauma. And nonetheless, we believe her. We believe that she was sexually assaulted. We believe that Donald Trump defamed her, and we believe that she was damaged by it. Nicole, want to go back to one thing that you said, which is that this was, in essence, a confession. That's exactly what Ferrara called it yesterday on rebuttal. He said, I've been around my share of locker rooms in my life, and that was no locker room talk. This was a confession, pure and simple. And I think that had a lot of impact with this jury of 6 men and 3 women as well.